Today we're going to be making some quinoa. Now I like the tricolor quinoa. As you can see, it's got the black, the red, and the white quinoa seeds. The seeds come from a plant called a goosefoot plant. This originally started in Peru, growing in Peru and being harvested there. This is considered, I guess, an ancient grain because it's been around for quite some time. It's become quite popular in the United States, where a lot of people have realized that the red quinoa is very high in antioxidants, and the black quinoa is a little bit more fibrous. So that's why I like to use the tricolor. You can buy this already mixed, or you could buy them separate and mix them yourself. Now, quinoa it's so versatile. It can be used in a variety of recipes. What we're going to be doing is we're going to cook our quinoa up today. We're going to show you how to cook quinoa, and then we'll be adding the quinoa into other recipes as we go. All right, what you're going to need to make this, you're going to need a colander because we are going to go ahead and we're going to rinse this quinoa and make sure that we get all of the anything extra that's in there, and we're going to prepare the seeds for boiling. Then we're going to be boiling them in some salted water. So we'll be back to show you that. So here we're rinsing our quinoa in a fine mesh strainer, making sure that we're getting out any debris that doesn't belong in there and preparing the seeds for cooking. This is an important step when you're making this quinoa. Make sure that you always rinse it. I do this for just a few minutes, and then we will add it to our pot of water. So for 1 cup of quinoa, we added 2 cups of water. We're going to put in about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt into the water as well. Okay, so we get our quinoa into that water. Want to get it all in there. How beautiful that is. I love the grains in this. They're just so colorful and flavorful. Then we'll go ahead and we will add in our salt, and we will get that onto the stove. We're going to cook it uncovered for, I want to say about 15 minutes, and then we'll check it and see where we're at. And then if it is done at that point, then we'll remove it and just let it sit and steam with the cover on. Let's go ahead and add our salt into the pot. When we first start our quinoa, we're going to start it with a bit of a higher flame, and as that water heats up, we'll turn that flame lower and lower as needed. All right. Now, if I had only a small amount of quinoa, if you're doing just like a single serving, this would only cook for about 10 minutes. But if you're doing a cup, which is a cup to 2 cups of water, it's going to cook a little bit longer. So we're going to say about 15 minutes. We're going to check this and see where we're at and see if all the water has been absorbed at that time. All right, our quinoa started to boil, and we turned down the flame just a little bit here. And we are going to stir it. It doesn't need constant stirring, but it does need to you just need to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. Our quinoa is boiling away quite fervently, so let's go ahead and adjust the heat again, just a little bit lower, and let that calm down. And while we're here, we might as well go ahead and give it another stir. So as you can see, we're at a nice simmer with the quinoa. I'll let you see what the flame has been, right about that medium flame. We've been stirring it. And as you can tell, a lot of the water is being absorbed. This was after 8 minutes. So we're going to let this continue for another 3 to 4 minutes. We're going to check it again, and we're going to cook it until all the water is pretty much absorbed, and then we are going to take our cover and put our cover on the top. But not just yet. We want to make sure all the water is absorbed. And when we do that, when we put the cover on the top, we're going to turn off the flame and just let it sit and steam for 5 minutes. All right, we'll be back to show you that. So our quinoa is just about done, and how I know, see when I pull it back in the middle like that, there's just a little bit of water on the bottom of the pan. We're just going to stir this up just for another maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute, and we can let it sit with the cover on for 5. It's important to keep a close eye on this quinoa now because we don't want it to burn. Because once all the water has been absorbed out of the pan, then it can burn very easily. Now see, as the water creeps back to the middle, there's just a little bit of water left. We're going to keep our eye on it. We're not going to move away from it at this point, because I would say that that quinoa is pretty much done. There's not a lot of water left. So what we will do now is we'll turn off our flame. We have no flame. And place the cover on the top. And we'll set our timer for 5 minutes and just leave this be. So we remove our top. And let's see what we've got here. Ooh, doesn't this look good? It smells delicious. See the consistency of that quinoa? Look how beautiful that is. So pretty. Now, what you can do with this is you can now store this in the refrigerator for up to 3 days, and you can use this in a variety of ways. You could add this to salads. You could make a breakfast out of it. You could have it as a side dish all on its own. You could stir in some spinach. You could do just about anything you want to this quinoa now, because it is fantastic and it's filling, healthy for you, and it's got lots of antioxidants and fiber. If you want to, you could take your little tasting spoon and get a taste and see exactly how this turned out, which we'll do right now. Beautiful. Perfectly cooked quinoa.